Welcome to Homemaker Chic Podcast. It is Monday. I am Angela of the brand Parisian Farm Girl. You can find me over on Instagram and YouTube and out there elsewhere in the universe. And I am joined by Miss Shay Elliott and her lovely brand, Shay Elliott and the Elliott Homestead. And likewise, you can find her on Instagram and YouTube and bookstores and other fancy places. And we are the hosts of Homemaker Chic Podcast. And this is the place where twice a week we swoop in or crawl in.
Depends on the day.
It depends on the day, to help you rescue this beautiful fine art of homemaking from the daily grind. We're doing it with lots of lipstick. We're trying to be fashionable. We're not wearing any homeschool denim jumpers. But truth be told, I have workout pants on under this blouse here. So,
well, you look nice from the torso up.
Thank you.
You notice how we're both wearing red lips today.
Mine are like
pretty
purple.
Dramatic.
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty dramatic.
Stuart said to me once, he's like, I notice when things get a little chaotic, you tend to wear red lipstick. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? When I can't control this, I don't control this.
Right?
This is my contribution.
Someone on YouTube called my lips and my hoop earrings, my big hoop earrings, my superpowers.
Yeah.
They're like, those are your superpowers.
Yep.
Yes, they are. They're my go-to to feeling good. And we want this show to be your go-to for motivation and encouragement. If you listen long enough, you will find out that we're just like, we're in the trenches with you. We're not trying to be the experts on anything. We are trying to come alongside you as you create a beautiful environment, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, aesthetically for you and your family in your home. And looking at what you do all day, addressing it, quite frankly, to the glory of God, and for being the type of person that is putting something wonderful out there, that whatever you put your hand to is beautiful and good. And we just want to encourage you to do that, because it takes a lot. There's a lot of grind behind all those fluffy words that I just said. So we're your people. Mm-hmm. 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 Especially on Mondays.
Mm. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So Angela and I both homeschool, and we started 2 weeks ago. Angela started a week ago. And the only word that comes to mind to think about the grind right now is as it has manifested in homemaking for us, the season that we're at, the space that we're at, is dense. Everything that's happening right now, everything we're marching through, the work that we have in front of us, it is just, it's like a thick milkshake that you can't quite get up through the straw.
Your eyeballs bulging out. Yeah.
Big time.
That's a really great word.
Big time.
I think, we've got career women listening to the show, grandmas listening to the show, 14-year-olds I know. And like, that is such a great word, because we all have these seasons of life where it just feels like you look out across the landscape of your calendar and you see that. You're like, oh, there's where I can take my foot off the gas. Mm-hmm. There's where it is. And for me right now, that is about Thursdays at 2. Mm-hmm. From Sunday night to Thursdays at 2. And that dense is a great word. I literally today have been like running throughout the house.
Yep.
From each task. Like, I don't think I can get it all in unless I sprint.
Yes. Yes, it's true. So fun little farm story here.
Oh boy.
As it goes. We haven't done a farm episode for a while.
We should do one.
So we have about a little small herd of about 12 Katahdin sheep that we run. And we brought this new ram in. Long story short, this ram gets sick. So he's on summer pasture to neighbors. We get a call, hey, the ram's down, which is never the call you want to get when you have livestock. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, in my dense day yesterday, I have to find time to go to the feed store, get the medicine that I think, because our vets are terrible here. And they're just like, well, there's nothing we can do. Well, he'll probably just die. And I'm like, oh, it makes me
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't know. We had a great vet, but he retired. And everyone who replaced him is just terrible. Great small animal vets here. Fabulous small animal, not large animal.
We're the opposite.
Okay.
If Hobbs were to need something, we're driving an hour.
Yeah.
I will
it's
never
so
take him local again. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Our vet retired, our wonderful vet that works with Fern. But bless his heart, the last time he came out about 6 months ago, he brought his replacement with him to get to know her and get to know us.
Yeah.
So when she calved a few weeks ago, it was great.
Yeah.
Like we had the baton had been passed. So, okay, so what happened?
Some vets have good bedside manner and some don't. And I don't really care what your bedside manner is if you're good at your job.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a large animal vet and you're like, well, I don't really know anything about cows. I'm like, you should learn then. Maybe you shouldn't be a large animal vet.
Yeah.
So our communities really just rely on other people in our community, other producers. Okay. Anyway, all that's to say, I got the medicine I thought he would need. I go over there as soon as we get back from co-op. So I've got all the kids and he's lying on his side with his legs sticking out. You know, that like death
I know that
stance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And of course, Stu's just like, oh man, he didn't make it. We're driving up in the truck. And of course the kids are like, what? Where is he? Where is he? And I'm just like, stop it. Stop.
All the trauma.
Can you just give us a minute here? You know,
Yeah.
They just have a knack for that. Anyway, we get in there. We realize he's breathing. He's barely breathing. And so we do what's called a drench, which is kind of like a super high dose vitamin, mineral, electrolyte. Like it's kind of like a shot of espresso and sugar. And like, can you get up? Can you move? Can you drink some water? That kind of gets their spike up a little bit. So I drench him, give him a little selenium, and we realize he's just not doing well. And of course, when that happens, animals tend to pick on each other. Mm-hmm. So we load him up in the back of the truck, which we're going to be talking about health and wellness today. This was a really highly requested episode.
Yeah.
I had just done a ton of deadlifts on Monday. And wouldn't you know, I deadlifted this ram into the back of a pickup truck from him.
Get it, girl.
Dead weight, laying on the ground. I'm like, oh, this is what my trainer was telling me.
Thus the name deadlift.
Right. It came full circle. Anyway, we bring him back.
The goblin squat. Every time I do a goblet squat, Amelie, because she edits our show, she just laughs. Are you doing your goblin squats, Mom?
It looks like you're kind of a goblin. Anyway, we get the ram home. He's alive today. He's alive. We got him to drink water. He's pooping. He's peeing. He doesn't look great, but he's not. His legs aren't sticking out. So
did you check his temp?
Yeah, it was high. Yeah. But other than that, he looked really normal. I think what happened is we have some pretty beefy rams. I think they actually just headbutted, or one headbutted him in the side. And I think he's not feeling great. I think
that'll do it.
Survival of the fittest, as they say.
My ram almost killed me last year. One of those on the wrong angle.
Oh, man.
That'll destroy you.
I can't remember why I was telling that story at all. Maybe it was the longest segue in the world that we're talking about health and wellness today.
Maybe. That's great. In case we don't have a lot to say, you just filled like 4 minutes.
So sorry.
In case we really bomb.
Yeah.
Well,
it did eat up a lot of time, though, in the afternoon. I was like, hey, Mama doesn't got time for this.
Oh, yeah. The running. Maybe it was the running back and forth.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of health and wellness is getting a good night's sleep. And so we'd like to say a special thank you to American Blossom Linens, because the theme of season 8, which is just unbelievable, season 8 here on Homemaker Chic, is make your bed. And our beds are decked in American Blossom, and they asked if they could specifically be the sponsor of this season. We love them for that. And if you don't have these beautiful linens on your bed, rather, you should visit AmericanBlossomLinens.com. Use our exclusive code HomemakerChic20 for 20% off. Thank you so much to ABL for sponsoring season 8.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you a story about that? I promise it'll be short.
Sure.
I ordered my daughter's blankets. They have these really beautiful blankets on their website. American Blossom Linens does. They came yesterday. Georgia's ecstatic. So she strips her bed completely, puts her American Blossom sheets on, puts her new blanket on. And I have the conversation with her, like, these aren't throwaway blankets. Like, we have to take pride in them. We really need to do a good job of taking care of them. Like, we're not going to get into bed with dirty feet. Like, you know.
We're not doing crafts. We're not watercoloring on this bed. Yeah.
The grown-up talk, okay?
Right.
I go into her room today. Her bed's unmade. And like part of her blanket is hanging over her bunk bed.
Mhm.
And there is a smear of something on her white blanket. And I said, Georgia, what is this? And she's like, oh, that's blood. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, I picked a scab. I'm like, you are gross. You don't get to have nice things anymore. Oh, it's been on your bed for 12 hours. And this is why we can't have nice things.
That is what Aiden says all the time. We call the back rows of the truck, the Suburban, the peanut gallery. And so often from the peanut gallery, you hear, this is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Well, Juliet put hers on, and Hobbs, our cat, I was thinking in French.
Yeah, I was like,
where's the word? He gets up there and he does this. You guys need to be on Patreon so you can see what I'm doing. He does this like thing. And Amelie says it's what cats do when they're happy and they're like getting
it's
their cozy
they're
spot.
like the nursing reflex when they're nursing from their mom, you know?
Yeah. Well, his claws are out when he does that. So he's grabbed all the beautiful loops on the American Blossom linen blanket and pulled them. I'm like, Juliet, can you just pull them through on the other side like a sweater? She goes, I tried.
Put a quilt over the top.
Put a quilt over it.
Come on.
They love their blankets so much. They're using them as their bedspread. I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's because they're weighty. They're weighty.
Oh, they're so weighty. I love that.
It's so nice. We'll get there eventually. I think we'll get there eventually.
I mean, where we're not picking scabs?
I don't know. Maybe this is
did
just
she
where
eat it? Like,
I don't know. Gross. You guys, I've also found many boogers on my walls. Like just in a stairway where like somebody's just walking through and it's like, well, I guess I'll just wipe this on the wall.
Yep. I have, if we want to go down gross alley, I've told you our toilets sweat. And they're the floating toilets. So I put cookie trays under them until we have the proper plumbing measures. Well, Junior thinks that's also a great place to pee.
Oh, no.
So you have to lift up a cookie sheet and you're trying not to spill it.
Oh, come on. Gross. Kids are gross.
Kids are gross.
I love them. And it's not that we won't.
Sweet blessing arrows of disgust.
That's right. That's right. We will do that podcast. It was funny. We got a request for like raising, kind and obedient children. I think there's a lot we can say about that.
I don't know if I'm the host for that.
We can't say. No, I think because we are, because the reality is here we are. But let me tell you another story. I've got all of them today. Okay. I went to a coffee shop the other day, get my honey breve on the way back home. There was 2 women in there. One of them had a little child with her, obviously her son. Okay. The other one was working on a computer. And the little boy walks up to the other lady and he says her name. And then he goes, "You're kind of chunky." And the mom was just like, "What did you say?" And he goes, "She's kind of chunky." And the lady's like, she's, trying to play it off, but that's not a kind thing to say. And the mom was just like, "Oh, kids, you never know." She like was so nonchalant about it. I wanted to get up and be like, your kid needs to be disciplined. You are not allowed to go up to other adults and tell them what you think about their body.
How old was this child?
Oh, probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
Old enough to know better. And I just thought, Mom, this is your job. I expect kids to say things like that. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. I expect kids to be disobedient and to be little turds sometimes. I do not have unrealistic expectations, but I sure expect parents to be the parent and to step in and to do the right thing in that situation. Oh, I was so appalled.
I agree with doing the right thing, but I think that it's probably is really easy for the parent to go, like, I can fall on, this is like 50-50. I can fall on one side where I can be nonchalant and like try not to make a big deal about it so that the person doesn't feel bad.
No.
Or like come down like white on rice and like, oh, you are chunky and he shouldn't have said that. I mean, I don't know.
No, she was not even chunky. She was not chunky, by the way. Here's what I would have done. I would have said, hey, can you excuse us for a second? No big deal.
For
and
sure.
I would have walked away with the kid. I would have knelt down quietly in their face and I would have corrected their mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to throw down in a coffee shop. I'm saying it's never okay. That is never okay. And I think so many parents excuse it like, oh, they're just kids. They're kids until you teach them differently.
Right.
Like they will always do that. They'll do that as adults.
Yeah. And I think it's really,
that.
this is a whole nother episode. I think it's super important to know when you go out in public, I might have to excuse myself.
Yeah.
I shouldn't throw Aiden under the bus, but he was very, very little. He was 2.5 or 3. And I had a full Trader Joe's cart and he pitched some sort of hellfire tantrum in the aisle. And I was like, I need to leave now.
Yep.
I need to go take care of this. And I just left. And not like out of shame, but like it had to be dealt with. Like it wouldn't have been good for his character for me to continue the checkout process.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when they're so young that they don't get the whole like, we'll deal with this when we get home. No. When they're really little, you deal with it then.
Right then.
Oh, I was
they don't. Yeah.
So it was so bad. I just thought, and here he is. I can see it just 40 years down the road. This kid who just can. Yeah, he was not well-mannered at all. I proceeded to watch him after to see if it was a one-off. It was not. Anyway, it's not what we're talking about today.
It's nothing to do with our subject.
I'm sorry.
Wine music.
Okay. All right. Let's cue this wine music. Okay, ladies, we are going to talk about health and wellness. And it might seem like wine cannot be a part of this, but oh my, how you would be wrong to assume that. We want you to pour a glass of Dry Farm wines with us as we dive into today's topic. Dry Farm wines is clean wines that don't undo all the hard work that you put into your health and wellness. You don't have to feel guilty about drinking these wines at all. They have a slightly lower alcohol content because no sugar is added, no commercial yeast is added, no additives, no fake flavorings, no fake colors. This is just grapes smushed and left to ferment over time and filtered and bottled from little boutique wineries from around the world who are still doing things in natural, biodynamic, and organic ways. So a really beautiful wine and way to add this to your chic wine cabinet is to visit dryfarmwines.com/homemaker chic. We want you to go there and put an order in, and they'll deliver these wines right to your doorstep. So you can decide if you want 3, 6, 9, or 12 bottles, how often you want them, if you want reds or whites, or bubblies or rosés, or all the beautiful wines that they have to share with us. So visit dryfarmwines.com/homemaker chic and get an extra bottle in your first order for just a penny if you're a new Dry Farm Wines customer.
It's very important. I mean, I say this all the time that I don't think your wine should kind of undo every other good decision you're making. And I'm excited to share with our audience maybe just some intentional things that you and I do for our health. But yeah, I was reading the other day about this 5-year study of vineyards around the San Joaquin area of California. And they were talking about this study. I don't remember all the details, but it was talking about the parts per million of fluoride in the wine from this area. Wow. Just unbelievable. And we learned when we interviewed Todd last year in one of our first seasons here on the podcast that there can be up to 75 ingredients. There are up to 75 ingredients that the wine industry does not have to label on the back of your wine here
that
in the
makes
States,
no sense
specifically. I learned a long time ago when I was first setting out on my own health journey that it's the same with canned goods. There's a giant list of ingredients. It's not just sodium, water, vegetable. Like there's a giant list even on canned goods that don't have to be listed.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I learned that a long, long time ago. And I was like, okay, we're done with that
we're
as much
done
as we
here.
Can be. Yep.
We're
So dryfarmwines.com/homemaker chic. If you're a first-time customer, get a bottle for a penny. If you're one of our hundreds of fabulous customers, then take our advice and stock up for the holidays because this is a lovely time to have extra bottles on your shelf. And so you can toss one in a lovely wine bag and take it as a hostess gift.
Yes. And since we are going to be talking about health and wellness today, I'm going to cheers to that here with this beautiful brut that I'm finishing from yesterday. Method Tradizionale. It's train.
Oh.
Some lady emailed me and she said, please don't ever stop pronouncing your French wine labels. It's the joy in my life.
They love it, Shay. They love your just destruction of the French language.
Your slaughtering of the French language brings them great comfort.
It is, yep.
Sparkling rosé from Loire Valley. Gros Lot is the variety. And it's just a brew. And this is how much Stu and I drank last night. And now I'm going to finish it.
Cool.
And also there's a fruit fly in there. I don't even care. I'm going to drink it anyway.
Little protein. Speaking of learning French, I listened to Slow French, and I was listening to this article the other day, and I was so geeked because I could understand about like 98% of it. And this article was about global warming and the cattle industry, which I know is, hot button. There's lots to talk about there, but that's not the point. The point was she was talking about pet food. So there's, in the global warming crowd, there's concerns about cattle and cattle farts, quite frankly, and how much is used for pet food. This article was about bugs, bug farms for pet food. It was very interesting.
It's a genius
and I
idea.
understood it. So go ahead. It is a genius. She was talking about how little it costs, how much they can make, obviously how fast they reproduce.
Yeah.
Genius idea, very high in protein. And so go ahead and just rock that fruit fly, Shay.
Seriously. Well, I did pick it out because there was like 6, but I still don't care. It's that time of year. I mean, it's just like flies.
Oh gosh, it's
fruit
fly
flies.
season.
We have produce coming out.
We have
the
snakes,
wazoo.
spiders, little cobwebs in the corners.
So many cobwebs.
Wow.
Okay, but here we are.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Where do we start? I had my blood work done recently.
Okay.
And it was really insightful. A friend of mine also had his done. Same doctor's office. And he's a young, pretty healthy guy. I mean, mid-40s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Athlete. And not, average. I would just say very average in his build and all this kind of stuff. And he was told his cholesterol was almost like a kill you tomorrow cholesterol level. And so he's having to make some pretty dramatic diet changes. And I just thought it kind of sparked, it's sparked a lot of conversation in our home and their home amongst groups of friends of ours, just as we get older, what this health and wellness kind of looks like for us, and how as you get older, it kind of takes a little bit more effort to stay at your baseline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where things came a lot easier earlier in life, even something like your metabolism. Now, as you get older, things just change and you sort of have to account for decades, let's say, of a lifestyle choice or just genetics progressing.
Right.
And I don't know how many of our listeners have had blood work done like this, but it kind of was nice to have a foundation for what you're working from.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a regimen for how often you do something like that? Do you get yours done every year, every couple years?
Every couple years. And the one that I had done this year was the gauntlet.
Yeah.
It was everything you can think of. It was hormone. It was just everything. The full
Monty.
The full thyroid scope. A lot of doctors will just check a little bit of the thyroid. And the lady I work with, she's like, look, I don't want to, it's very common for doctors. I come in mid-40s. Okay, let's compare your thyroid to the average American woman's at your age thyroid. She's like, no, we're not doing that. We want you to have the thyroid of a 25-year-old. I'm like, oh, sweet. Let's do this.
Sure.
Yeah. So she did the whole, just all the hormones. It was great. It was very insightful. I had some health concerns. I was having some really painful breast pain and went through all the testing and turned out hey, that's just my version of perimenopause. Okay. That was pretty dramatic. The whole, she's like, you, based on your white blood, red blood, I'm not a medical person. You're going to be able to tell. Mm-hmm. She's like, you couldn't get sick if you wanted to. You're good here as far as cancer and things like that. Just the health. She found that I was just completely no progesterone, which doesn't surprise me because every time I'm expecting, I am very high risk for miscarriage. And so I take progesterone. So I'm on progesterone. She put me on a really fleshed out my vitamin routine, which I'm really pleased with. And I'm at this stage where I'm just extremely intentional about everything.
Yeah.
My previous life before that, okay, on my health journey, I very much, I built my health journey based on what I didn't do.
Right.
So, and that was good. I think that was good. I was introduced to a lot of very, very, very natural health concepts in my early 20s. And there's a lot of stuff I just let go of, like at 23, 24, birth control pill, canned foods, like just like aluminum in my lotions. You know, I learned a lot at a young age. And so I wasn't like, I always tell people, like, I'm not growing wheatgrass on my counter, but I quit drinking Diet Coke. I got off the birth control pill. I did this. I don't eat that. I don't do that. There was this whole list of things I didn't do. And now, and we can talk more about this in the episode, but now there's things I do.
Sure.
Proactively.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Let's put it under a few umbrellas. So like,
okay.
First up, I would say just under the umbrella of just sort of health and wellness of what we're doing. We both this past year have had to find a doctor who is in line with our views of how we think some of these things should be dealt with. And so to me,
some of these things,
having a doctor that you can work with who doesn't think you're crazy is really encouraging.
Yes.
Because I have been, I don't know, for lack of a better word, patient shamed many times to the point I was in tears. And so I just avoided going. I was like, I don't want to go to those offices because we're on such different philosophies. But I also don't fall into the category of like, you know, like crystals and like none of like a lot of the woo-woo stuff. So, you know, there's got to be a middle road here somewhere. So my point is just find a doctor who does line up with what it is that you're trying to do, with what your goals are. There are some doctors who put a ton of effort and energy into prevention. Imagine that. And then there are doctors who specialize in other things. So I think to me, that became a very important piece of getting to this next stage of health was like, I have to know what's going on to know what I'm working towards and how to do that well. And I need guidance to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that does take, it does, you know, I think there's a laziness as far as our own health goes. We kind of want it handed to us on a silver platter and expect all the work to be done for us. And for me, I've decided that I have to take initiative. I mean, I interviewed this doctor. Like, you're going to hear my basket case story of everything that I've been dealing with for the last 10 years that I just whatever. Maybe it's something, maybe it isn't. And then we're going to go from there. And so I think, you know, that does take extra legwork for the patient to find that particular doctor. And, you know, I'm in a rural northern area. That was, I had to go out of state for that. Yeah. You know, that was challenging.
But don't you find too, you have to be in any kind of situation, you have to be willing as the patient to take on, like, I am my own advocate.
Your own advocate. That's what you have to be your own advocate.
You have to just take that.
Like, sorry, that takes extra energy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But that's a huge part of it on the whole. And so your doctor gave you some supplements, you know, to just kind of based on your blood work, supplements you take every day to sort of tweak that well-being to get it as lined up as it can be, right?
We would like to thank American Blossom Linens for not only being our favorite linen company in the entire world, but also for sponsoring Season 8, Make Your Bed of Homemaker Chic podcast. AmericanBlossomLinens.com. Use coupon code HomemakerChic20 to get 20% off of your new bed linens. As we head into fall, as we redress our beds, and as we celebrate this theme of making your bed even more beautiful, we want you to do so with American Blossom Linens. Whether you're looking for beautiful, modern vintage sheets to dress your bed, or a new duvet cover, or a new pillowcase, this is where you need to grow. This is the only 100% American-owned linen company in the entire United States. This is a family-owned company that's over 100 years old, sourcing the most beautiful Texas-grown cotton and weaving them into sheets that are made to last a lifetime. Visit AmericanBlossomLinens.com. use coupon code HomemakerChic20 for 20% off of your new bedding. We get asked a lot how we care for our skin and what kind of makeup we use, and the answer is simple. We use Tubes & Co. I want you to visit tubesandco.com and use the coupon code HOMEMAKER. This is your one-stop shop for all things natural and organic. From face washings, you have to check out the charcoal bar, to glow serums, which is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever put on my face. Emily has created all kinds of wonderful products for you to utilize on your skin. So whether you're looking for a new foundation, a natural mascara, cruelty-free and additive-free lipsticks or blushes or eyeshadows, Tubes & Co. has what you need. Visit tubesandco.com. Make sure you also try the frankincense tallow balm while you're there, and stock your bathroom and makeup case with pure, beautiful products from Tubes & Co. That's tubesandco.com, coupon code HOMEMAKER.
We'd like to welcome House of Tokumen as a sponsor of the show. You can find them at hotrugs.net. If you are tired of throwing your money away on cheap rugs that do not survive your lifestyle, then you need to dress your home in hand-woven rugs from House of Tokumen. Did you know these beautiful vintage handmade rugs are known to outlast their plastic counterparts by 2 decades? All of the House of Tokumen rugs are heirloom quality and made from the finest cottons and sheep's wool. Buy directly from their website and always enjoy free shipping in the continental US, or enjoy custom sourcing from a one-on-one buying experience. You are guaranteed a one-of-a-kind rug. No fake antique rugs, machine-made copies, or replicas. Shay and I love our rugs from House of Tokumen. We know that you will too. Visit House of Tokumen at hotrugs.net. That's hotrugs.net, and dress your home in beautiful rugs.
The Elliott Homestead Cooking Community is a sponsor of Homemaker Chic Podcast because, frankly, homemakers have to cook. This is for home cooks out there who would love some new inspiration, ideas, and motivation in the kitchen. Each month, you'll get 5 new recipes shipped to your door or to your inbox, whichever you prefer. Recipes will range from entrees to side dishes to desserts to sourdough breads and everything in between. I'll also guide you through the month's recipes with a long, in-depth cooking video, showing you new skills and encouraging you as you give these recipes a try in your own kitchen. And lastly, you'll be invited into our exclusive community of like-minded home cooks where you can ask questions, share your successes, and gain inspiration from women just like you. The Elliott Homestead Cooking Community is here to inspire and nourish your family with whole food recipes, price-conscious recipes, from-scratch recipes that are designed to enjoy. We're going to teach you to bake. We're going to teach you to use sourdough. We're going to teach you to ferment things and to try new ingredients. Visit cook.theelliottHomestead.com to join as a member today.
Yes.
So, what do you take?
So I should have brought them all in. I'm on doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality. Mm-hmm. Kind of always have been, always will be.
Yeah.
I do take their DDR Prime, which is a cellular repair complex. Yeah. Because of the compounds in that particular blend, the oils that are in that. I take vitamin B complex because I tend to run low on B. Mm-hmm. And I have the side effects of it. So I'll get like
B12, right?
It's a B complex, but I have the side effects of being low on B12 if I'm not on that. My fingers get tingly. The mask of my face sort of hums. It sort of feels like a panic attack, but it's not. Okay. It's really bizarre. And so if I stay really consistent with that, I feel great. I got that from my chiropractor, who's got a great line of supplements that he carries. And we can talk more about chiropractic too, because I'm a firm believer in that. When I did have a mammogram and an ultrasound a few months ago based on my breast pain concerns. I really didn't want to, but I did. And I went to my doctor. I said, okay, I'm all for decreasing my exposure to radiation. I know some of you listening are like, you're a lunatic. You should be thrilled to have a mammogram, whatever. I didn't want to. I do thermography on my breasts typically, which is a little bit different approach to breast cancer prevention. But this pain was severe enough that I decided, okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and go a conventional route. And my doctor advised me to do that too. But I said, what can I do about the radiation exposure? Because after I've had an x-ray or something. And goodness gracious, we live in Wi-Fi land. I've always got my phone. So she suggested this supplement. I think I'm going to pronounce it right, hopefully, called quercetin.
Mm-hmm.
It's liquid. And I take like a quarter teaspoon or half a teaspoon of that every day. And I'm trying to get my family on board with that too. They're very good about their daily supplements, but she said that's just an excellent one to be on for radiation exposure.
Yeah.
I know it has other benefits, but that's specifically why I'm taking that.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of the pandemic, I'm on D and zinc and vitamin C extra daily.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one that starts with an L, but I don't remember it. It's I don't know, something,
Is it an amino
THINE.
acid?
I don't remember. I could go grab
Is it
but
glutathione? No,
that one
doesn't start
and
with
another
an
one.
L.
I'm on glutathione for sure, especially that's another just
Okay.
pandemic one that I'm
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
These are really similar to the ones I'm on as well.
Okay.
Of course, D, C,
NAC.
NAC,
And then
quercetin.
I'm totally looking into, I've got like a shopping cart built with NAD. I've been reading a lot about NAD because that's the one I do listen to Joe Rogan. I think he's got great health ideas and doctors on, and they talk a lot about that one affecting your physical age, like as opposed to your biological age.
Sure.
Helping with that.
Okay. I haven't looked into that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So NAC I'm already on, but NAD is very intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. So Angela and I both sort of adopted this, I guess, prevention supplement, I guess what you would call it, kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, really. I've been on it for quite a while now.
Yes.
So taking all those things, as is Stuart. And so the only things I supplement that, this was interesting. I had good thyroid function based on my blood paneling, but it was not fully great. Okay. It could be better, is how my doctor put it. So she suggested eating foods high in iodine and selenium to help the thyroid produce enough hormone. And you guys know me. I'm all, if I can get it from food, I'm all about it. And I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about how this relates to kids. But turns out that just supplementing with seaweed, so putting seaweed in like my chicken soup, like it doesn't make it taste like seaweed. It looks like kale in there. Not a big thing. Okay. Seaweed is super rich in iodine. Easy thing to add into your smoothies or into your soups or into your salads. And then Brazil nuts. So I eat 4 Brazil nuts a day. Isn't that amazing? Really? Like such a small.
Those are the big ones. Like those are the size of your thumb, right?
And they don't taste that great. But
no, they're not my favorite. I'm not a macadamia nut. Like, they're not. They're kind of bitter, but
I just don't eat a ton of nuts. But I'm like 4 nuts, and she's just like, if you do this, it'll boost your thyroid and it'll keep it going. Were you
sluggish or
just a little bit sluggish. A little bit of a. It says you do not have a low thyroid, but it could be optimized to improve your metabolism. Ooh la la. Right? And then,
excuse me.
Let's see. Iron is always a tricky one, especially for a lot of women. What's your iron like? Do you supplement iron at all?
I don't.
Okay.
It's fine. It wasn't, I took measures after the last 2 births.
Okay.
Raw steaks and broccoli and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Red meat's a big one for me. I have to eat it. And I know when I don't eat it,
I have to eat it. I can feel it. I'm like, Joel, I have to have a steak tonight. Like, I can feel it.
And I think this is kind of an important point. I don't think that there is a perfect diet for the world to eat. I think we are individuals. We have a lot of things playing into what makes our body work and what makes it work best. That's some environmental, some genetic. We're all working from a different playing field. I could not be a vegetarian. My body doesn't function at all without meat. It just doesn't. But even still, she has me on a blood builder, which is basically like not necessarily an iron supplement, but it's meant to kind of boost your blood, make it a little bit richer to kind of prevent that from happening. And so, so getting a doctor that you can work with, huge. Women, huge. To be able to get your health to a point where you can function and you can serve your home and your family as best as you can. Like that is not wasted time or effort.
So if someone was listening to us, and at this point we don't sound like raving lunatics, they're Googling naturopath in my area. What are they Googling?
You know,
functional medicine in my area.
Probably.
That's what I would do.
Probably. Yeah. I've been to some naturopaths in the past, and I'm always a little bit like, could you be a little bit more medical? Like,
yes. Yeah.
I don't really want to talk so much about how I'm feeling. I also want you to take my blood and tell me what's going on inside. Yep. So I think it really does depend on the just the clinic that you're working with, and ask around. People in your area they'll know. You just got to do a little bit of digging, and sometimes it takes some time.
Yeah, it does take time. I mean, goodness knows, I've spent like 2 years, and not like every night on Google, but like, oh, I need a doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, I need.
And there are lots of MDs who fall into line with that too. You might be able to just find an MD who will not think you're a raging lunatic.
Yes, the concern with MDs is the lack of nutrition education.
Sure.
They are allowed to take the bare minimum in school. My understanding, again, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But that is my understanding, which is why often if you are coming from a more holistic approach as a patient and you bring something up, they look at you like, no.
They look at you like
you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Something my doctor did recommend that I am on the hunt for, because this is going to take more effort for me. Again, I can't find anything closer than 2 hours from here, is vitamin IVs.
Yes.
So she would like to see me do a detox. And I asked her, I'm like, well, what do I need to cut out? I'm not really I'm not going gluten-free. Like,
let's just put that out there.
Let's just put that out there. What do I need to do? She said, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, a series of vitamin IV drips.
Yeah.
And there's one in particular, and I've been recommending it to everyone. I haven't even done it yet, but I've been recommending it to any friends who come to me with concerns. I'm like, talk to your doctor about this. It's called a Meyer cocktail.
Yeah.
And she's very strongly advocating that I get this series of Meyer cocktails. So that's just, there's not a lot of Meyer cocktail going on in the North Woods of Wisconsin here, eh? So like, I'm on the hunt for that. I might have to swoop through Chicagoland and get my hair cut for the Meyer cocktails.
I was just going to say, I mean, be willing to go to the effort. I mean, okay, so we've got this umbrella, let's say, of doctors, supplements, medical work that, praise God, we have access to medical care.
Yes.
Praise God that we have needles and painkillers and amazing things. Okay. Like we are certainly not regressive in the idea that we should just, go chew on some like comfrey and call it good. Like I'm all about this. Okay.
I've got a big fat butt monkey for that though.
Okay.
But I am personally offended when I just tell my story and a prescription pad is written out.
Yeah.
That's not good enough for me. I'm old enough that plenty of times I've gone to the doctor and immediately been put in a box, especially like the last 5 years. The minute I say I am a homeschool mom at home full time with 6 kids, they put me in the stressed out mom category. You need to just take a hot bath and calm down and find more time for yourself.
Yeah. Not helpful.
No, the mask of my face is tingling while I'm out in the garden enjoying myself.
Yeah.
You're not listening to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's when it comes back down to the individual, not meaning it's like, I just mean find a doctor that you can work with. Find a doctor that listens to you. They come in a lot of different forms.
How great to have that resource. It's been, now that I've done the legwork and have that resource, the blessing for my family has been amazing, because obviously the physician is serving the whole family now. And it's been awesome.
Yeah. Be willing to go to extra effort for that umbrella, for all the things that sort of encompasses. But now we have to move on to the next umbrella. Okay. So we're putting effort into this part of things with our doctors and with our supplements and our work that needs to be taken care of here. And then there's this other huge umbrella of health and wellness that to me is it's the nucleus of what we're doing here. And it's the fuel that we're putting in our bodies. And I read a statistic the other day from, I don't want to get this wrong, but I'm going to, Jenny McGruther over at Nourish Kitchen, longtime friend of mine, amazing resource for those of you who are kind of curious about where to even begin on something like this. But the statistic was something like 80% of kids' calories now, every calorie that's consumed by children comes from what they consider, quote, highly processed foods. Cheetos, packaged bread, Slurpees, fruit roll-ups, 80% of all their calories. Extremely high. So something like calories from, let's say, steak or lentils or vegetables, sauerkraut, yogurt, like none of these things. Okay? Those are not considered highly processed foods. I wanted to cry. And then I was listening to an interview talking about, okay, let me backpedal just for a second here. I promise I won't go down this rabbit trail too much, but I posted something about WAPF on Instagram the other day, and I got a bunch of questions. What's WPF? Weston A. Price Foundation. So let me just give you a quick backstory on this.
Please do. It's like, could we just spread the WAPF gospel just a little bit on this show?
Weston Price was a dentist who noticed a discrepancy in children's teeth and palates, the way that their bone structure would grow in their jaws, and ultimately how it would grow to hold their teeth, what their teeth would look like, how strong they would be, if they would be really crunched together. The desirable trait, and any dentist or orthodontist will tell you this, is a nice wide palate so that you can chew your food efficiently. You have space for your tongue. You have room to swallow, and your teeth have room to be. So Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, it's
okay. I can't take it.
Okay.
No, but like the mangled bottom teeth, tiny jaw. Yeah. Like children that we see today, like that is not.
That's actually
normal.
And it's actually bad for them.
It's bad.
It's bad.
I mean, like he showed like Eskimo and people like with really high fat diet and a nice wide.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, go, because I got more to say.
Okay. So in a nutshell, because we can't squat here for too long, we can do an episode on this. But basically what he found was that the diet that the kids ate incredibly affected what their teeth grew like, what their jaw grew like. And so the healthiest children's that he found in terms of both just disease and in palate structure was really good meats, and lots of fermented foods, things, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. Like there was a fermented food in each classes of people's diet. Raw dairy, high fats, carbs, they ate all the things, but, they wouldn't eat Wonder Bread. They'd eat sourdough bread. So they weren't eating highly processed foods. There's a really great book, Nourishing Traditions. Actually, a good friend of mine just wrote a book that I can't talk about yet, but we are going to have her on in a couple weeks' time. She's incredible. She's like I think of her as like the modern day WAPF evangelist, because Nourishing Traditions has been out for decades now, and she's sort of bringing new light to it. But all that's to say, sorry, that was a lot of words. All that's to say, you guys.
We have time. It's good.
What you feed yourself, if you live alone, it's just you. What you feed yourself, or what you feed you and your spouse, or what you feed you and your spouse and your kids, has such an impact on their health. And it sounds preachy, and maybe it is preachy, but I just want women to be okay with doing the harder thing of finding food like that for their family. Because I can't.
Why should it be preachy? It's not preachy.
Well,
We're telling them to make their bed, and we're telling them to choose your heart, and we're telling them do the hard thing in your house. And this is part of the home economy. I mean, like as a homemaker, like most of our listeners, I know there's some husbands that do the shopping and the meal planning and stuff, but most of our listeners that are running a home, that falls under their job description. And your job description like you don't do a job poorly, you do a job well. So once you learn, you do better. And if you can learn about taking care of your family better, just as with something as simple as what you put on the dinner plate, then you do better.
Yeah. So how does this, I'm sure most people listening are like, yeah, I know. How does this actually play out, manifest in our homes? Like, okay, you care about what you feed your kids. So what? You never have Dairy Queen. You never have ice cream. You never what? What do you feed now? How does it work?
Well, again, it's mostly what I'm not purchasing. And so, no, I'm not I'm not buying ice cream. If I do, if it's something we're not making and I do buy it, then I'm just really, it's not like that. It's not rocket science. You look for the fewest amount of ingredients. So if, there's not like there's organic ice cream. It's not an option up here or something. So then I'm going for something like Breyers.
Sure.
Okay. It's got a few ingredients.
Sure.
And I can say them all.
Yeah.
So, and then that's what we have 6 times a year when we make a cake or a pie for somebody's birthday. And yes, I have granola bars. I mean, my children are hungry. They want to eat. We have snacks, but I'm always weighing that. Okay. I buy a box of granola bars. The ingredients don't look too shady. No, I can't be responsible for how those oats were made, but I know I'm doing this over here really well. We're not eating canned soup. Full of sodium and 19 other ingredients that don't have to be listed on the can. So I'm always like weighing that out. And I've been at it for long enough since my firstborn, because my health journey, I started before I had children. Like my kids know, they know why I don't.
Yeah.
Why we don't eat a certain way,
Sure.
They know why there's no Cheetos. So I buy organic white corn chips.
Yeah.
There's no Doritos. I mean, they just.
Yeah.
You just get over it. You make a few adjustments and then you're over it quicker than you realize.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I think, again, this is probably going to look different for different people. Some people, when they're gone 40 hours a week working at a job, maybe their dinner is going to look different than, a mom who's home homeschooling her kids, who has maybe just a little bit more time before supper. So I don't think telling people specifically how to do it would even be helpful, because I think it is very relative to your life situation. But I will say what tends to happen is people just think, I'm going to, quote, eat healthy. And in their mind, it goes back to that 90s diet craze of that just means basically depriving myself of everything. Now I'm not going to have any sugar. Now I'm not going to have any alcohol. Now I'm not going to have any bread. And it's just it becomes this list of things that you can't have or you can't enjoy and you can't do. I get asked all the time, how do you, not gain a bunch of weight when you eat all this bread? Because I don't eat bread if it's not sourdough and homemade for the most part. Not fully true, but I would say 95% of the time that's true. I also don't deprive myself of sweeteners, but I just use honey and maple syrup, and they're expensive, so I use less of them. Yeah. And so it becomes then a lifestyle of something you can do. You're not saying to your kid, hey, you can't ever have cookies. Those are unhealthy. But you can make them a really good cookie with really good butter and einkorn flour and a really good sweetener. And, it doesn't have to be any kind of deprivation.
No, it's a better, not more kind of, our concept. I think, Marie Kondo, when you read her book, she tells you this could take a year.
Yes.
First, we're going to do your books, and then we're going to do paperwork, and then we're going to do clothing. And don't try to do this all at once. Do it my way. She's really insistent about how you do it. And I think you could look over the landscape of your health for the next year and say, okay, for the remaining portion of September, no more prepackaged garbage. If it's going to be prepackaged, I'm going to know what's in it, and I'm going to make a very conscious decision about what I'm bringing in my home. And then in October, I'm going to find a physician. And then in November, I'm going to up my supplements. And then to December, I'm going to start working out. Or whatever. If you chunk it out into what do I want to accomplish? You can't just take it, because health is a habit. And there's no way I don't, who am I to say, but I don't see a lot of success. And speaking of fruit fly, in just trying to go the full gauntlet.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
No. I don't think that works, because you burn out.
I don't think so. You burn out.
You have to kind of fall in love with each
overwhelming
piece of it. So
because it's a paradigm shift.
Right.
Each category is a paradigm shift.
So you take your supplements, you start to feel. I'm going to set my glass down here. You start to feel better. Okay, now it's not a hard thing for you to take your supplements.
That's not hard anymore.
We're running out of time, so I think we do need to talk about the exercise umbrella movement.
Sure. Okay.
Huge part of it, and it kills me. Like in COVID times when they're like, hey, don't go outside. I'm sure you saw the videos months ago of the guy being arrested on surfing on the beach. It was give
me a break.
It's so terrible, because Your body needs to move. It needs to move. And like the story I was telling at the beginning, if I had not been lifting weights, training myself to lift weights, there's no way I could have picked that ram up. There's no way. And I just thought, you've grown now. You've grown. And like, that's what I hope for everybody. And whether you're hiking or biking or walking, just walking. Amazing. Yeah. Just getting out and breathing fresh air, whether it's cold or hot out, like sun's out on your skin. Man, I mean, we could do an entire episode just on movement.
Yes.
Movement.
I think it's very easy to be delusional about how much you move.
Yes.
So we have this trend right now. The current trend is, the 10,000 steps. Oh, did you get your steps in? Did you get your steps in? You have to walk a long ass way to get 10,000 steps in. I mean, you go ahead and just get one of those little things and wear it on your wrist for a day. And you're like, oh, wow, I moved 1,900 steps in my whole house all day long. Whoops. And I think I could be like so wrong, but I feel like 10,000 is like, that's your health mark. Like that's what puts us at an activity level that matches our ancestors, where we are in a culture and a cushy way of life where we have to seek out hard. They did not. They had to work all day and it just was hard. So we're now having to create movement. And I feel like I just read that 10,000 is that marker.
Okay.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have to go for a walk in the morning to get my 10,000 in.
Yeah.
In addition to 3 flights of stairs and up and down and milking a cow and back and forth.
Yeah. All the things.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think,
it's like the French, like stereotypically, the French don't work out. But it's stereotypically the reason why we get greeting cards with a bicycle of a French woman on the front with a baguette in her basket is because that's what they do. That is not, you will see that over and over again. They're walking, they're bicycling, they're taking the stairs. Culturally, it's unacceptable for them to be overweight. Like that, that's a faux pas, pun intended. We just need to move more.
Yeah, we just need to move more. So if you're kind of tackling this health and wellness, feeling the need for just kind of a jump start, I mean, this is an umbrella that you cannot forego. It's you just can't. Trust me, I tried. It cannot be done, especially as you age.
What was it that because one day you're like you have been like anti-workout. Like that is just not it's not my bag, baby. Like that wasn't your thing.
Active,
and then one day,
but I'm not like a worker.
Right.
Yeah.
What was right. And I think those are two different things. And I wouldn't say everybody has to work out per se, but what pushed you to work out? Like what was the trigger?
Well, Stu,
because it was quick.
It was quick.
It was like,
Stu hurt his back. We were doing farm work. I mean, we have a very laborious lifestyle. Bucking hay and moving feed bags and wrangling animals. And, you're physical. You're very physical. And he hurt his back. He couldn't really do a lot for a couple of days. And it was like the third time it had happened this summer. And I just thought, is this where we are? Like, it's like, is this the new normal for us? And he said, it kind of makes me wonder if I should get in shape. Like, because moving is one thing, but weight training is something completely different. So again, this won't be the same for everybody because some people just have to sit at a desk all day. Well, walking would probably do for them, move mountains. But we already were working. We already were walking and bending over in the garden. And my trainer always says it's basically squatting, hinging, and lifting. Like these are just the movements. These are life movements. Squatting and bending. And I didn't know what she meant until I learned, I've been bending wrong my whole life. I've been hinging incorrectly. So that's when you get hurt. You bend over to pick something up, you pick it up wrong, your back goes out. Anyway, that's kind of what it was. It was like him being like, maybe I should do this. And I'm like, I think I was on the cusp and I was wanting to, but I just didn't know how to do it by myself.
Okay.
I couldn't find the motivation deep inside. So that's when I was like, we're going to invest. And you know what? If you think, it just must be lush, you just have all this resources for all these things. No, we have sacrificed a lot of nice things.
You guys really move a lot of and just like weekly obligate, there's a lot of maneuvering for you guys.
There's a lot of
to get to the
maneuvering
gym.
with budgets and with schedules, and, for example, we are really running out of time, but like we've been going to the chiropractor since we could not afford to go to the chiropractor.
Oh, we didn't even touch on chiropractor.
But I was like, if we have to not eat for one day, I swear we are going to not eat. And we are going to go to the chiropractor. So many success stories. I see my chiropractor every month. So we've got the umbrella of nutrition, wellness, supplements. We've got the umbrella of food and just giving it our extra effort. We've got the umbrella of exercise and movement. What are just like some little things that you would pepper in that you do? So chiropractor would be one of those things.
Chiropractic for sure. Okay. Yeah. And again, that takes a little research because there's some that want you to come, 8 days a week.
Yep.
And nothing really changes. You're going to have to find one that gives a technique that doesn't scare the crap out of you.
Yep.
That you're comfortable with.
Yep.
All chiropractors do things differently. Interview them.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to interview them. Massage for circulation. That's a big perk for me. I'm not good at taking the time, but I know it's very good for you.
Yep.
Water.
Yep.
But I don't really. I used to love drinking water. Now I don't. So I drink carbonated water, which I know isn't the best for my bones.
It is. I looked it up. People make that stuff up. I put electrolytes into my water and then I want to drink it.
A little. Okay. So you do wake up in the morning, whether you've had alcohol the night before or not, you do wake up dehydrated. So put a pinch of salt in your water.
Yeah.
If you need to really clean things out, put a bigger pinch in.
Yep. Or just a splash of apple cider vinegar.
I warned you. I know that makes me throw up. I can't do that.
Okay, well, don't do that then.
I can't do the ACV.
Yeah. Epsom salt baths. I do soaks with Epsom salt baths. I order a
50-pound bag of Azur
yep.
or Epsom salt, and every single night to keep my magnesium up,
yep.
I take an Epsom salt bath. I just told my grandma to do that.
Yep.
Got to have the magnesium.
Mm-hmm. And sleep.
Sleep
you guys.
And sunshine.
Sleep.
Like I'm not coating my body in sunscreen. I'm getting vitamin D.
Yep.
On my body.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sleep. Did I say sleep? Yeah.
You did.
Sleep.
Say it more.
Go to sleep. Okay. You need sleep. Wow. That was like a screaming into the finish line. Maybe we should talk more about this, but
we can later on, especially like
yeah. Regardless, I hope that
I'll get my first vitamin drip or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm actually scheduled to get one of those next week.
Oh, I do. Like, is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
Well, the vitamin IVs are one of those things. My mom gets them. Her and I share a doctor and she gets them.
Okay.
And, she's been doing just really great. I mean, she's really been giving it her best too since the pandemic. She was just like, I'm going to give it everything I can prevention wise. And she's been doing great. And so she does really well with those. But yeah, I
would like to add sauna.
Sauna
and cold.
Yeah.
Those two on a consistent basis, not like this is fun once a year basis.
I've been looking into some home sauna ones, but just haven't found one that I'm like.
Is there like a DIY?
There's ones where they look like almost like a sleeping bag where you kind of lay on the couch and it's not, I'm serious. It's like a little tent just goes over your body. Your head sticks out. So like,
okay.
There's
that's
options.
my next. The vitamin drip and the sauna are my wish list.
Yeah.
Health. Yep.
Yeah. The sauna is a really, that's a big one. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, here
we've got more to talk about in the future.
Yes,
so that's good.
Thank you. A huge thank you to our patrons who keep Homemaker Chic on the air. We would love if you would visit patreon.com/Homemaker Chic podcast. You can show your love for the podcast if you have found value in what we're doing here. It keeps us on the air, keeps us running, pays all of our hosting bills and all that fun stuff. So a huge thank you to everybody over there. Fun, she says, adulting fun. And you get the video forms of the podcast as a thank you for supporting the podcast. So patrons, thank you very much. We appreciate you
so much.
I guess that's it.
I think that's it.
Okay.
So we're going to carry on. We're going to we talked at the beginning of the show. We're going to
here we go.
Be dense. Yes. And then I'll see you again on Thursday.
We'll be back on Thursday. Yeah. Okay. See you guys later.
Cheers.